Hello everyone, I am Julian Morris with the Channel 5 News. In the headlines, Cabinet makes mask wearing mandatory, imposing a $75 fine for non-compliance and $10,000 or jail time for failure to comply with restrictions on public gatherings. An appeal to the public to reduce incidents of child abuse ahead of World Children's Day next week. And a sad loss, that's how Chief Cultural Officer Raymond Lawrence describes the loss or the death of Creole icon Felix Henderson. The details coming up.
Strong, we are resilient, and we will get through this together. But these are stressful times, and it's important to also practice good self-care. It's normal to feel overwhelmed, anxious, or afraid, but there is hope. Reach out to someone, connect with your friends, stay in touch with your community, and know that you are not alone. We're in this together. This is a public service announcement from the Dominica Red Cross.
Flow helps you stay connected to what matters. Simple plans and a better network mean that you can enjoy 7 days of unlimited social messaging, 3 gigabytes of reliable data to use as you like, 700 local anywhere calls and texts with the always-on prepaid plan, all for $29. Keep your number when you switch to Dominica's most reliable LTE network. Buy wherever you top up. Switch to Flow. It only gets better.
Government has taken another significant step in the fight against COVID-19. Cabinet has made it mandatory that everyone wears a mask or suitable face covering over the nose and mouth in public. Under the Environmental Health Services COVID-19 Amendment Regulations 2020, everyone will be required to wear a mask while using any form of public transportation or in a public building,
including supermarkets, retail and wholesale commercial establishments. 3. At a bar, a market, or other similar business or place. 4. Other public spaces, including parks, riverbanks, and beaches. A police officer or the owner of a premise that a person has entered or is seeking to enter may request anyone to remove or adjust his mask or suitable covering for identification purposes. Anyone who offers for hire a motor omnibus, hiring car or taxi or any other public transportation and does not require the passengers to wear a mask or suitable covering over his nose and mouth commits an offense.
Any public bus driver or owner of an establishment who fails to wear a mask or suitable covering over the nose and mouth commits an offense. Gatherings of more than 50 people will not be allowed without written permission from the Chief of Police.
Anyone found in breach of the regulations pertaining to large and other gatherings commit an offense under Section 21 of the Environmental Health Services Act, number 8 of 1997, and is liable on summary conviction to a fine of $10,000 or 1 year imprisonment. Anyone found not wearing a mask in compliance with the regulations commits an offense, and on summary conviction to a fine of $75. I want to reiterate that these measures are not meant to be punitive, but to persuade everyone to comply with the requirements so as to minimize the spread of COVID-19.
Meantime, 5 new confirmed cases of COVID-19 have brought the number of total active cases to 27. To date, we've recorded 68 confirmed cases of COVID-19.
4 of the last 5 COVID cases are imported ones, and 1 is a contact of an imported case. They are between the age of 20 to 56 years old, 3 females and 2 males. All 5 cases are asymptomatic and they do not have any chronic medical conditions. The contact tracing is ongoing. So far, all except one is negative. In summary, our active cases are 27 and the total number of cases 68. We have completed community screening for the remainder of the health districts. These include St. Joseph, Portsmouth, La Plaine, and Grand Bay health districts. A total of 80 rapid tests were conducted with a response rate of 100%. There were randomly selected individuals from the catchment area. All participants were very cooperative. Out of these 80 tests, only 2 individuals were reactive to the test. Subsequently, both of these individuals were tested negative using the PCR method. Thanks to our district medical team for their tireless effort in completing this screening process. We plan to conduct more community testing in hot zone area and before the upcoming holidays. The Ministry of Health takes this opportunity to once again emphasize the importance of wearing of a mask when you are in public space, frequent hand washing or the use of alcohol-based hand sanitizer, maintain a 6 feet physical distance from others, and avoid contact with people who are experiencing respiratory symptoms.
In other news now, a plea to Dominicans to help reduce incidents of child abuse. Andrea Louis tells us more.
The plea from Acting Coordinator of the Child Abuse Prevention Unit within the Welfare Division, Nicole John-Baptist, ahead of a week of activities to recognize World Children's Day next week. John-Baptist says while there are reports of various types of abuse among children, sexual abuse is most prevalent.
Child sexual abuse remains the highest reported case in Dominica, followed by physical abuse, then neglect, and emotional on a very small scale. I suppose in Dominica we feel that we can tell our child whatever we want. Is our child, is we had pushed the child out, nobody cannot tell us what to tell our child, and we may be cursing that child, we think it's normal. So we hardly have reports of emotional abuse. We get a few, but not much. But on a very high scale, we still have child sexual abuse occurring in Dominica. And we see that occurring in any age, babies to teenagers.
The acting coordinator pointed out that reports of cases did drop during the lockdown period earlier this year, but this is not a reflection of a reduction in actual incidents.
When COVID just began in March, when we got the first set of cases, and then we had the lockdown, we had a decline of reported cases. As you'd understand that people were home, maybe everybody don't have access to come to Roseau, or they don't have access to phones to call or things like that. So we had a decline of cases. And then when everything came back to normal, businesses started opening, this started opening, and people could move about, we started getting more cases coming in. I suppose all what could not be reported when everything was on a down low, everybody started coming to report.
World Children's Day, or Universal Children's Day as it is also known, will be recognized under the theme Reimagine the Future. Tutor John-Baptist is imploring the Dominican public to play their part in helping curb incidents of abuse of all kinds against children in order for them to have a brighter future.
My quote, one child abused is one child too many. We don't have to wait to see how many cases we got in January, if it higher than February, or if it higher than last year for us to make a change. One case is too much already, because child abuse can affect a child so bad. So I'm just appealing to the general public to join in the fight. Because if you know a child is being abused, let the relevant agencies know about it. The police, the social welfare division, let somebody know about it so we can help a child. And just join in the fight, because welfare division cannot do it alone. The Ministry of Youth Development, we cannot do it alone. So if everybody come on board, we can make a bigger change.
Prime Minister Skerrit says Dominica must seize the opportunity to have its own international airport. The Prime Minister says the airport fits into a larger development plan to ensure that there are jobs for Dominica's university graduates.
This project is critical to us. It is, the government has invested heavily in the infrastructure, in the health infrastructure, in the education infrastructure, in agriculture infrastructure, in the tourism sector with hotel rooms and the expansion of that sector. And for us to be able to sustain those investments, for us to be able to create better opportunities and more opportunities for so many of our young people that we have sent to university, we believe that this airport will assist us in Dominica in our efforts to realizing this ambition. And I give my full commitment to it. It preoccupies a lot of my time because I believe, and based on what all of us have understood in this country, that this is our moment.
Prime Minister Skerrit has also provided justification for plans to include a hospital as part of the International Airport project.
The original concept for the airport did not include a hospital or a health center. But having experienced the pandemic, COVID-19, and the need for us to have special designated facilities at the airports and to facilitate passengers coming in, visitors coming in, and to ensure that we can implement and adhere to the guidelines and the protocols, the government has taken a decision to construct a small hospital as part of the project in the event that we are faced with a similar pandemic and we have to isolate tourists or visitors coming in, or even airport staff, and so we are in fact having this as part of the project.
You are watching Channel 5 News. We'll have more after this.
A new in-home experience is here. All your services bundled into one simple plan. Faster, more reliable Wi-Fi so that you can binge, play, and stream uninterrupted. Unlimited Flow local landline minutes mean you can talk and talk and talk. Plus the best in TV entertainment with over 120 channels and 29 in HD, all for $160 a month with the new all-in bundle. With Flow, it only gets better.
We are strong, we are resilient, and we will get through this together. But these are stressful times, and it's important to also practice good self-care. It's normal to feel overwhelmed, anxious, or afraid. But there is hope. Reach out to someone, connect with your friends, stay in touch with your community, and know that you are not alone. We're in this together. This is a public service announcement from the Dominica Red Cross.
A sad loss is how the passing of veteran Creole broadcaster Felix Henderson is being described. Henderson, who passed away Tuesday evening, was iconic for his role in preserving and promoting the Creole language through his work at DBS Radio and elsewhere. He is also credited with conceptualizing the DBS Radio Ministry of Education court-sponsored reading competition, which became a regional event. Chief Cultural Officer Raymond Lawrence says Felix Henderson had made a significant contribution to Dominica's culture.
It's a sad loss for culture in Dominica, especially in the area of Creole language and broadcasting, because Felix really made a major contribution to the promotion of the Creole language on radio and in the research of the language. He was involved in the first Creole dictionary. When he was invited to schools to teach Creole, he was part of that. He usually teaches elementary Creole to Peace Corps volunteers who come to Dominica. He hosted programs on DBS, Experience Creole, of course, being one of them. Read the news in Creole as well. So he was one of the real proponents and promoters of our Creole language.
In his work with Felix Henderson to promote the Creole language, Lawrence remembers him as passionate, persistent, and creative.
Felix was a very sort of, what do I call, a go-getter. He has an idea, he had a lot of creative ideas, and when he comes up with an idea, he goes all out to ensure that the idea becomes a reality. So I kind of admired that about him. He had a kind of a tenacity, a passion to get something done when he had an idea and he wanted to do it. So that, I think, was a very good thing about it. And then he was able to get a lot of things done with that kind of attitude.
Chief Medical Officer Dr. David Johnson has welcomed what he calls a bold step by Cabinet in making mask wearing mandatory. As you heard earlier from the Deputy Chief of Police, there are heavy fines and potential jail time for those who fail to comply.
The Environment Health Services Act, indeed the Communicable and Notifiable Disease Regulation, which is SRO 57 of 2030, was amended, as you've heard, in March 2020 to include COVID-19 disease as a communicable notifiable disease. The prevention and control of COVID-19 in Dominica is further regulated, as you have heard, under the statutory rules of Regulation number 26 of 2020. Last Friday, and indeed just moments ago, you've heard from the Deputy Chief of Police the details in the amendments. As Chief Medical Officer, I welcome the amendments to these regulations. The wearing of masks or suitable covering over one's nose and mouth in public places is absolutely critical as a public health measure in the fight against COVID-19. The evidence is clear. The countries where mask wearing is in public is mandatory are doing better than those who don't.
Dr. Johnson says available data reveals no evidence of community transmission of COVID-19 in the country.
I'm confident that the majority of us in Dominica understand and appreciate the measures put in place to control the pandemic. These are necessary actions. It is the right thing to do. We owe it to ourselves, we owe it to our loved ones, we owe it to our beloved country. We are all in this thing together. Clearly, the state, and I want to repeat this, clearly, the state cannot legislate everything that we have to do to control COVID-19. The state cannot legislate everything that we have to do. The state cannot legislate all our behaviors. All behavior matter. We must act responsibly.
Johnson says he has been assured that when a vaccine is ready, small developing states like Dominica will benefit.
The war against this pandemic is far, far from over. Last week, November 6, the Pan American Health Organization had a virtual meeting of ministers of health in the region, for which I was pleased to attend with the Honorable Minister. And the access to getting the vaccine for COVID was the main item discussed. And therefore, Dominica wishes to extend its profound gratitude to the Pan American Health Organization and indeed the Caribbean Public Health Agency for the support in ensuring that small island developing states like Dominica will be able to procure the vaccine when it becomes available.
And construction of the first phase of the DYBT Entrepreneurship Hub to get underway soon, as ground was officially broken for the project on Thursday. Andrea Louis explains.
The Entrepreneurship Hub is a collaboration between the Dominica Youth Business Trust, DYBT, and the United Nations International Organization for Migration, IOM. The hub is designed to give entrepreneurs in Dominica a space in which to hone their skill and develop their craft. Currently, a tool library exists to provide easy access to equipment which may be difficult for entrepreneurs to source. Project manager with the IOM, Maxine Aline Esprit, says though Phase 1 is just starting, plans are already underway for Phase 2 of the facility.
Today, we are here to mark another milestone. So far, DYBT's hub has been fully virtual with the support of the staff of the DYBT. Today, we are here to mark the beginning of the physical presentation of the hub. So there will be two shared production areas. One will focus on the art and craft sector, and the other will focus on the small agro-processing businesses. Phase 2, the design has already been provided for both Phase 1 and Phase 2. Phase 2 will include training facilities, an administrative office, a networking space that can be used by DYBT to bring them out of the current modus operandi of having to rent training facilities every time that they have trainings.
The groundbreaking for the Entrepreneurship Hub comes as the DYBT celebrates its 16th anniversary. Coordinator of the DYBT, Carrie-Ann Remy Timothy, says this new structure will be extremely beneficial for young entrepreneurs.
The establishment of an entrepreneurial support hub provides both a physical space and a virtual front door for our entrepreneurs. The DYBT hub will encompass a tool library, which is housed already and presently house agriculture and agro-processing tools and equipment, a shared co-production space for arts and craft manufacturers, and a rotational production area for the agro-processors in the first stage. A networking space for shared learning, training, administrative desk support, with modern co-working and event meeting space for entrepreneurs and remote workers, along with vending space we look for as the second phase of our project. By providing office space and vending facility at a lower end, combined with networking opportunities and advice, the DYBT Hub will offer a way of supporting new ventures through this tricky era.
Minister for Youth Development and Empowerment, Dr. Addis King, says the DYBT has been impactful among youth in Dominica.
As the Dominica Youth Business Trust celebrates its sweet 16th anniversary, having been established in 2004, the Ministry of Youth Development and Empowerment and Youth at Risk are very proud of what has been achieved for and with the youth entrepreneurs of Dominica. To date, over 1,000 young persons have benefited one way or another from the support of the Trust. This project is also contributing to Dominica's attainment of the Sustainable Development Goals and Agenda 2030. This is particularly so with regard to Goal 8, which calls for urgent action to achieve decent work and economic growth in member states of the United Nations.
The tool library and soon-to-be Entrepreneurship Hub are located on Charles Avenue in the parking lot of the former Physical Planning Building. Andrea Louis, Channel 5 News.
Flow helps you stay connected to what matters. Simple plans and a better network mean that you can enjoy 7 days of unlimited social messaging, 3 gigabytes of reliable data to use as you like, 700 local anywhere calls and texts with the always-on prepaid plan, all for $29. Keep your number when you switch to Dominica's most reliable LTE network. Buy wherever you top up. Switch to Flow. It only gets better.
We are strong, we are resilient, and we will get through this together. But these are stressful times, and it's important to also practice good self-care. It's normal to feel overwhelmed, anxious, or afraid, but there is hope. Reach out to someone, connect with your friends, stay in touch with your community, and know that you are not alone. We're in this together. This is a public service announcement from the Dominica Red Cross.
A new in-home experience is here. All your services bundled into one simple plan. Faster, more reliable Wi-Fi so that you can binge, play, and stream uninterrupted. Unlimited Flow local landline minutes mean you can talk and talk and talk. plus the best in TV entertainment with over 120 channels and 29 in HD, all for $160 a month with the new all-in bundle. With Flow, it only gets better.
To end the news, a look again at the headlines. Cabinet makes mask wearing mandatory, imposing a $75 fine for non-compliance and $10,000 or jail time for failure to comply with restrictions on public gatherings. An appeal to the public to reduce the incidence of child abuse ahead of World Children's Day next week. And a sad loss. That's how the Chief Cultural Officer Raymond Lawrence describes the death of Creole icon Felix Henderson. You may access the news on our YouTube channel on behalf of the production team. I am Julian Morris. Thanks for watching. Join us tomorrow.